Alright, and welcome back to my Evil Within Akumu difficulty guided walkthrough. And we're in chapter 14, only 2 more chapters left to go. By now I have the harpoon bolt fully upgraded, which is by no means a necessity, but it does allow for an easy one-hit kill against Ruvik clones. And there is one of those close by, and we're actually going to make a lot of noise to draw him over here. If you shoot the exploding bolts inside the bathroom over here to the right, not only can you get some green gel, but the Ruvik clone will come over and a single shot with a harpoon bolt will get rid of it. Or if you haven't upgraded it, all it takes is a harpoon bolt and a match after you spiked him against the wall or knocked him over. The fire harpoons will not kill everything in one hit, of course, but it's essentially a powerful weapon if you need to be silent. Also, harpoon bolts are pretty cheap to make. Down here is one of those invisible enemies, and if you know exactly where they are, even though you cannot see them, you can still drop a match on them. And there are a few of them in the first sections, so as long as you know where they are, you can easily get rid of them by sneaking up to them and dropping a match. So it is important to not make too much noise in the first sections. So over here we have another Ruvik clone, so again we can easily take it out with an harpoon bolt. Especially because we don't want to wake up the invisible enemies on the platforms in the water. We're going to sneak through the water in a minute and set each of those on fire. But first we are going to enter the train cart on the right to snipe the enemies in the distance. It's strange, but the sniper rifle is also considered to be a rather quiet weapon. So even though those invisible enemies are close by, they won't wake up from sniper fire. Also, as you know, there's an alarm system here. But if you are careful and disarm it when you are in the water, you don't even have to deal with the 2 enemies hanging from the ropes. In the next couple of train carts are explosive bolts that you need to destroy, so you can use those to kill the enemy inside, but in my case he noticed me before I could do that. But for some reason he cannot enter the train cart I'm in. So it's easy to take him out. Regardless, he has a gun, so always be cautious of enemies wielding firearms. Remember that after the mini cutscene, or whatever you want to call it, you will get ambushed by an enemy. Only a single one though, so you can basically take it out any way you like. He doesn't even have a gun or anything.
Gotta be a way to get up there somehow.
Okay, over here I had a case of bad memory. I thought you needed to get behind that fence, but that's not the case. I even triggered the alarm system, which was actually unintentional, although it doesn't really have consequences either. The alter ego on the ground can simply be killed with a match, and the fire harpoon bolts are definitely effective against these enemies as well, but be aware that when they are on fire, they take a while to actually die. So it's not the case that they are no longer a threat the moment they are burning. If you throw a bottle at the alter ego on the floor, he will stand up and kill himself by walking into the electricity. And this is in fact a one-hit kill. I thought it merely knocked him down, but it does in fact kill him as soon as he touches it. When you approach the door to the save point, an alter ego will burst through the grate behind you. But since he is crawling, you can simply drop a match on him. And apparently I missed one of the alter egos before, because a second one came seemingly out of nowhere and I just happened to burn them both at the same time. This was not planned, this was simply a happy coincidence. Once you've saved the game, go through the same tunnel where the alter ego came out of, and then you'll have to wade through water, but remember that if you aim a weapon, you can move a lot faster. Also, the first alter ego cannot attack you. Him getting grabbed by the boss of this chapter is a scripted event. Alright, this area is full of traps, including an alarm system. And the water makes some of the traps rather hard to see. The strange thing though is that when an alter ego is hanging from a rope, you can burn it by dropping a match into the water. Yeah, it's the same animation, but it just doesn't make too much sense within this context. Also, you might want to avoid disarming the bombs in this area, because of how difficult they are to disarm in Akumu mode. Regardless, I did disarm them, because it's close to a save point, of course. But just keep in mind that it's really easy to die when trying to disarm those fuckers. Okay, this is just cruel and unfair. There's a bear trap in the water here, which you cannot see. You literally need to know that it is there. And we'll have another one of those in a minute. And what makes it extra cruel is that on regular survival difficulty, it is not there. So that basically means that you think you've made it through the area, and then you seemingly out of nowhere die to an invisible bear trap. Okay, there are a lot of enemies in this area, including those crucified ones, and those are way too powerful to take out, so instead I'm going to avoid all of them and place a shock bolt behind me when I'm forced to turn a valve. That way you can get through this area using a single shock bolt. Just keep running until you trigger a scripted event where you have your first face-to-face encounter with the boss of this chapter. This will despawn all the previous enemies. By the way, notice that Sebastian is holding a pistol here that he uses nowhere else in the game. Your regular gun is a revolver, not a pistol. It's probably a leftover from an earlier stage in the development of the game. Okay, so after another save point, the actual boss fight starts. This boss can be really tough, but not if you use a combination of freeze bolts and magnum shots. So immediately as the fight starts, I'm going to freeze him, then shoot him as many times as I can with the magnum, freeze him again, and then finish him off with the magnum. I have upgraded the magnum's damage output quite a bit, so if you haven't, you might need a third freeze bolt to finish the fight.
Trying to make me feel sorry for you?
Okay, the chapter ends the exact same way as chapter 5 did. So the same strategy will work again this time. Just fire a shock bolt in front of you and then quickly remove the tubes from the heads of the 3 enemies. And that's it for chapter 14. So next episode will be the final episode of this series, chapter 15. So please leave a like and I hope to see you back for the finale of The Evil Within.